What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network and the Woodward Bet Show. I'm Scott G. Risen, joined today again by Chris, Detroit Beastie. What's going on, Chris?
Nothing much. Fantastic. It's Friday, it's payday, and we have a weekend to look forward to. Lots of football, college and NFL.
Oh, man, too. I'll tell you what, it's going to be a nice fall weekend here. Somebody was telling me it's supposed to be close to 80 degrees tomorrow, so better get that late yard work done, get those Halloween decorations out there. I got me a couple nice little setup in my yard. I had 3 skeletons I put out there in my front yard sitting on some bales of hay, acting like they're having a little bonfire, drinking some beer. So good times. Halloween as an adult, I think, has become one of my favorite holidays because you can steal your kids' candy and scare the shit out of them. It's good times. So you like
Absolutely.
Halloween, Chris?
Oh, it's my favorite time. Fall is my favorite time of the year, and I absolutely love Halloween. I'm way into Michael Myers and all the slasher flicks.
Yeah, I tell you, I've never been a fan of them horror movies. I just never been a fan of those. Not for me. But I will say though, going to Halloween parties, we didn't get to do that the last couple of years, obviously, or a year or so with COVID. So kind of looking forward to getting back into the Halloween parties. Always fun to have a good Halloween party. But hey, Chris, what do you think of that game last night? I know one of my best bets was the Bengals, and I was telling everybody dip it down to the 1.5. And let's roll it and keep it open. Get it open with a few other games this weekend. Move it down 6 points. And I got a couple little blasts of some shit from some people when they were down 14-0, about to be 21-0. And yeah, you know what? That's why they play. That's why they play the full game. That's why they play 60 minutes. We knew there was time for Urban to mess it up. What'd you think of that game?
Oh, it was fantastic. Shout out to Sawyer, the producer here, who cut that clip. It said, I don't like Jacksonville. I think they stink. And then I shared it, Urban Meyer is a dummy. And look what happened here. Yeah, they were up 14-0 in on the 1 yard line. That stupid quarterback sneak didn't make it through. But there was some chatty folks in that message, in that Sawyer edited clip here. And lo and behold, I fell asleep. And then I woke up this morning and I shared the emoji where the guy's going like this. Because that wasn't a good look.
Yeah, that does happen a lot. I mean, over the years I've been touting and doing this stuff. You always get the guy when there's something, right out the gate. It'd be funny to me, like, when I, recommend like a stack or something in DFS, like a quarterback and 2 receivers, and then they would be down 14-0. The guy threw a pick or so, and they're sending you messages. What kind of crap is this you gave me? And I'm thinking they're down 14-0. It's perfect. Relax, man. But yeah, I was looking at that Bengals thinking, man, Urban, even if they get a field goal here, I think the Bengals are going to come back. And then, like you said, what is wrong with you, Urban? Why would you call 4th and goal from the 1? You spread it out and you put your quarterback 4 or 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage and you put him in shotgun and then you run him. Why would you do that? That's the most idiotic thing. I was laughing at him when I saw that. But, come on, Urban. That's just not very smart. This isn't college, man. They're going to jam the line. You pile up the line of scrimmage and you get him just to go over the top. Yeah, the kid's a big kid. He should be able to stretch the ball over the line, get some push on the line, and let's sneak it in there. You don't back the guy up. If you do, run him on a naked bootleg. What – I didn't quite understand it. I literally sat there and laughed and said, you know what? That's it. That's the turning point in this game. It's like going to be it was so easy to see the Bengals were going to come back and win. So that was a good thing. All my teasers are live going into Sunday. I got like 5 of them that I had open. So I got 5 games now. I can move around with some 6 points and get some fun here this weekend. But hey, Chris, I'll tell you what, we got us a new sponsor for the show. Underdog Fantasy. You familiar with Underdog, I would assume?
Absolutely. I did some work for them last season. I love it. I've always been big into over-unders and player props like that, and Underdog is perfect for that. And also best ball. I know a lot of folks in the spring and summer went nuts playing best ball with Underdog Fantasy, so absolutely a fantastic sponsor.
Yeah, just real quick what it is. You guys you set it, you do your drafts. I think they have a contest from week 6 to 17. But we're going to let you go. We're going to let Beer tell you guys about it here.
Let's talk about Underdog Fantasy. NFL season well underway, as we know. You can still draft a new fantasy team each week on Underdog Fantasy to win cash prizes. So basically a best ball format. You draft it, forget it. You don't have to mess with it at all. So it's not too late to get into the action. Through their slick mobile app and user-friendly site. You can join a league and draft a team in literally minutes. Plus, the folks at Underdog going to help you get started with a free $10. Who doesn't love free? So when you sign up, make your first deposit, use the promo code WSN. That's WSN as in Woodward Sports Network. So just go visit UnderdogFantasy.com in the App Store or the Google Play Store. Sign up with the code WSN. Deposit $10, and you get $10 free. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code WSN.
All right. So, Chris, it's Friday. So what do? We usually ask everybody, hey, send us some start and sit questions, maybe some trade questions, maybe some questions from your league. So we did have a few come in this week. Make sure you get them over there. You can send them. Just follow our Woodward Bets Twitter page. And on Friday, you can shoot us a couple questions. We had one from Stu, 1972. Chris, he asked us, who would you start this week, Dak Prescott or Daniel Jones? You wanna help him on that one?
Yeah, absolutely. And who was it? Oh, Stu, 1972. I wrote everything down so I could give you the most well-informed answer possible. So Dak, they're playing Carolina. Carolina's 4th overall against opposing quarterbacks. And Daniel Jones playing in New Orleans. New Orleans is 5th overall against opposing quarterbacks. So initially you look at it and you go, well, it's got to be Dak. It's not even close. And I do agree to that to some certain extent. But to me, I got Dak for, about 30. He's going to throw the ball about 35 times, 250-ish yards. The difference here is I have him for 1 or 2 more touchdown passes than Daniel Jones. And again, in terms of the carries, they're closer. I don't think they're fully letting Dak, go how he wants to go as of yet. So I have Dak taking the ball 3-4 times, about 15 yards here. And when it comes to Daniel Jones, same amount of passing attempts, 35 passing attempts, about 10 more yards than Dak, though, in the air, 260 for Daniel Jones. But again, I only have him throwing 1 touchdown and then carries on the ground, about 1 or 2 for only 10 to 15 yards here. So the difference, and obviously that's what you want to see, Dak will have another touchdown or 2 in the air, and he'll have about 10 more yards on the ground here. So to me, give me Dak Prescott.
Nice. I got to agree with you. I'm not ever one in my season leagues. If I drafted Dak ahead of Daniel Jones, it would be it would have to be such an obvious discrepancy in matchups where I would make a switch. So I usually just stick with my studs because, man, it just gets to be frustrating. So I would assume you drafted Dak ahead of Daniel Jones. So I would stick with Dak, especially in a matchup like that. But I think you're right, Chris. They are holding Dak back a little bit. They're not going to let him. They're not letting him run around. They know he's got to stand upright for 17 weeks. So the Cowboys do not have any sort of chance. But we can move on to our next question. It's from Jeremy Athena 21. He asked, maybe even she asked, would you start Singletary or Miles Sanders this week? That's an interesting one.
That is a good one. So in terms of what I do when I get start sit questions, I write down my projections for both guys, and then you go from there. Singletary, Buffalo's playing Houston. Houston's 23rd overall against opposing wide receivers. I have Singletary for a fresh double-digit target or double-digit carries here, about 11 or 12 carries, nothing more than 50 yards, 2-3 receptions for another 15 yards. In Miles Sanders, they're playing, I have him for about 13 carries too, 65, 70 yards. But the difference to me between these two is going to be the receptions. I have Miles Sanders for about 2 or 3 more receptions than Devin Singletary because you have to worry about Zach Moss, right? He was inactive in street clothes week 1. He comes in and he punched the ball. And how many times did he score last week, Scott? Once or twice, around there. So I have Miles Sanders for about 30 yards in the air. So you're looking at about 10 or 15 more yards on the ground and about 10 or 15 more yards in the air here. So to me, it's Miles Sanders, and I'm not thinking twice. I want to say really quick, going back to the Dak and the Jones question, even the running back questions, it's too early in the season to get cute. As you said, Scott, you drafted these guys in the first, second round. Why are you going to bench them in favor of a guy? Maybe Singletary was claimed off waivers, or even Daniel Jones in a 1 quarterback league. So don't get too cute. It's only week 4.
Yeah, I agree with you. Singletary, though, obviously he gets Houston. It should be a positive game script for him. But as we saw, and we kind of talked about that, Buffalo they don't care. Like, they'll just keep throwing it and airing it out. They're going to score their 30-some points. So it doesn't seem like Josh Allen and they're just still zinging it around. So I think it's like always Singletary's going to be Singletary. But, Miles Sanders is going to be he's in a game with Kansas City that I think there's going to be, it's going to be some points scored, obviously. So for Philadelphia to have any sort of chance there, I think Miles Sanders has to be successful. I would look at Miles Sanders in that matchup for sure. We got another one from Plotch D 1999. Wanted to know, would you start Knox over Hawkinson? I can give a little insight on that one. I think Knox is just like one of those. He's just recency bias, right? I think you're just kind of looking at. Really, the tight end hasn't really been relevant in that Buffalo offense. So. I'm not gonna ever start him over a guy like Hawkinson. I think people saw that 2 points last week, and Baltimore. Generally they do play really good defense. I think that was something that they decided they were going to take Hawkinson out of the game. But I think teams are going to have to start focusing on Swift more with his success. I would definitely take Hawkinson. So I don't know what you think about that, but I'm not peeling off the lion.
In a seasonal format, it's not even close. It's TJ Hawk all day. In a DFS perspective, I could see the case here where you want to punt tight end. You could get Knox in there in a single entry GPP. But in seasonal formats, dynasty formats, it's TJ Hawkinson all day. I got Knox for about 4 targets. He'll catch 2 of those, about a 25 yards. Playing Houston. Houston's 29th overall against opposing tight ends. And when it comes to TJ Hawk, we're going to get a massive target share. I got TJ at about 8 targets. He'll catch 6 or so of those for about 70 yards, and I think he finds the end zone in Chicago, and Chicago's 8th overall against opposing tight ends. I don't think that matters when you get a case like TJ, who's going to see 8, maybe even double-digit targets here. It's not even close to me in seasonal formats, but as I said, in DFS formats, FanDuel, DraftKings, I would absolutely consider Knox as my punt tight end play.
All right, perfect. Sounds good. We got another question from @Sam Scott Ski. Wanted to know, I have Lamar Jackson and Heineke's on waivers. Would you pick him up as a streamer for Lamar against Denver? That's a pretty good question. Chris, how do you lean on this one? I think I may have a different take in you, but how do you lean on this one?
Well, again, as we said moments ago, it's too early in the season. You start your studs. Lamar was, one of your early draft picks. If it's a super flex league, he was in the first round. Super flex, he's a top 10 pick. So you look at Heineke, who's on waivers. I just can't pull the trigger on starting Heineke over Lamar Jackson. Look, if you want to add him off waivers, be my guest. It's a good move. But this week alone, I have Heineke for about 30 pass attempts. He'll get you like 225-ish yards. I got 2 touchdowns in the air for him, and then 4 or 5 carries for about another 20-25 yards. So Heineke's going to have a good productive day and a healthy stat line here, but it's Lamar Jackson. I got Lamar only completing like 18 to 20 passes, not going to throw the ball a ton, only 200 yards in the air, but I do think he finds the end zone in the air and on the ground. The difference to me here are the carries for Lamar Jackson. We know how quick those rushing yardage totals add up here. So I got Lamar about 10 carries. That's great. That's great for a quarterback for about another 55 or 60 yards here. So to me, that's the difference. The yards on the ground for Lamar, and he finds the end zone on the ground as well. So personally, this question isn't as crazy as people think. It is close here, but to me, it's Lamar just from an old school kind of fantasy football mindset.
Yeah, I think in a normal situation, I think I would tend to agree. But on here, I think I'm going to take a different route. I kind of had a feeling you may say Lamar. But for me, so just looking at the waiver, he's missed practice the last 2 days. His back, he's dealing with a back injury. Yes, he's trending to play. But again, everybody, Friday is the big day for injuries. We'll say over and over on Thursdays, if you're concerned about a guy, if they don't practice on Friday, you need to be really, really concerned about their availability on Sunday. So I'm going to make sure Lamar gets out in that practice field today. But, if you had to pick up somebody on waivers, I don't mind grabbing him. He's a great quarterback streamer for this week, especially since he gets Atlanta. I do like that. And if you do believe that Lamar is going to be limited running the ball, I would almost say that it probably would be a better idea, especially against Denver. I think that's going to be a low-scoring game to go ahead and actually make that change. Not saying drop him. I'm just saying pick up Heineke and throw him in your lineup this week against Atlanta. I think you got a lot better, higher upside. And I mean, but like I said, with Jackson being hurt, if he wasn't hurt and he was full Jackson mode, I'd consider it. But yeah, I think that's a move you may want to consider. But definitely follow that waiver wire. But or injury report. We got one other question from SC Car Livonia. Says, should I keep Jonnu Smith or pick up another tight end? Our pickups cost $5 each.
Love that. I love that.
So what do you think about that? What would you say to him?
Well, first of all, I love that each transaction costs you money. That's a way to accumulate another pot to give to like the first overall at the end of the season, first in overall points, or, the division winner, something like that. But to me, it's a great question, but it's simple as this. Jonnu is Jonnu. I have him for about 5 targets, 4 receptions, about 40 or 50 yards on Sunday. But it's always, well, who is on waivers that you could select, that you could pick up here? So the question, it's kind of relative because we don't know who is able to be picked up on your team. So as it stands now, I'm going to lean Jonnu unless, Cole Kmet is there. Cole Kmet with that Chicago offense and Matt Nagy, it's just been awful. Adam Troutman could be there. Heck, Dawson Knox. If Dawson Knox is available, then add him there. So again, it's all relative to who's on the waiver wire. But as it stands now, I have Jonnu for, in a PPR league for just over like 10 or 11 fantasy points when all is said and done on Sunday.
Yeah, you mentioned Dawson Knox. I'm going to assume a lot of leagues people are only carrying 1 tight end, maybe 2. So you probably only got 13, 14 in a 12-team league that are even rostered. So I'm going to assume Dawson Knox was probably out there. If that was the case, yeah, I would have picked up Dawson Knox and paid the $5 and dropped Jonnu Smith. But, you mentioned the $5. I know, I in my home league with my buddies, we actually do pay for transactions as well. And then we put all the money at the end of the league, and we have a party at somewhere. We usually go to a bar or hang out at somebody's house, and then we, have some steaks, have some beers, and have some good times, hang out with your buddies, and, get to poke fun at each other for the good or bad season you had. It's always fun, so good times. But, I do like some of these leagues. It cracks me up with these guys with their last place penalties. So, I do like some of them guys who are walking around wearing dresses. So I seen people getting tattoos and all kinds of crazy stuff, which,
wow.
No thanks. I wouldn't be getting a tattoo. But, yeah, always good times to hear guys penalties and stuff. But, Chris, we got a lot of injuries. Like we said, hey, on Fridays is the day we got to pay. Today's the day we got to pay attention on these injury reports. So we got a handful of injuries that we kind of got to watch. There was like 20 some of them that we kind of thought were relevant today. I can kind of burn through them real quick. But it looked like Gronk with his ribs, he's expected to play. So that's a good thing. You see him take that shot over there. That looked kind of scary.
It did. Yeah, that would have broke me in half. Gronk is superhuman, so that's saying something if his ribs are still tender.
Yeah, right. No doubt. And then it looks like DJ Shark from last night, it looks like he's going to have surgery. He's going to be out for the year. So if you have him in your season long, looks like he's a dumper. Darrell Henderson practiced yesterday, so that looks good for him to probably make his return this week. So it looks like Sony Michel is going to be taking a back seat, so may want to consider getting him out of your lineups. And then over in San Fran, we got Eli Mitchell, the waiver wonder boy from week 1. Looks like he might come back after his shoulder with he's been practicing. So we might get some Eli Mitchell. What do you think between him and Trey Sermon? What do you think of that mess over there?
It is a mess, and so this means that Kerryon Johnson is relegated back to the practice squad. I wish him the best. He just couldn't get it done here in Detroit. But of the two, I would prefer Elijah Mitchell. It looks like the coach Shanahan has a propensity of feeding the hot hand or a kid that's doing well. And Elijah Mitchell looked fantastic in week 1, and then that was about it. So I'm hoping and praying that Elijah Mitchell comes back this week and does very well. I know a lot of folks, Scott, and I know you do too, too. People blew their entire wad in terms of their fab on Elijah Mitchell, only for him not to play since you added him for a full $100 or whatever your fab is.
Yeah, if it wasn't Elijah Mitchell, like we heard the other day, guys were burning it all up on Josh Gordon. But another guy we saw with a limited in practice on Thursday was Keenan Allen. So I'm going to expect Keenan Allen to play. But he was definitely limited. But I'm not too concerned. Are you concerned about Keenan Allen?
No, not at all. But I will say, this just means wheels up even more so on Mike Williams. I have him for double-digit targets this week with or without Keenan Allen. And if Keenan Allen is out, Mike Williams might be my number one kind of best little move in DFS circles this weekend. I have him for about 10 targets, 6-7 yards, or 6-7 receptions, 75 yards, and yet another touchdown. Kid's got 4 so far in the season. So regardless, Keenan Allen is out, then you know what to do with Mike Williams. To the moon.
Yep, him and Eckler should get those extra looks there. But another guy, which is kind of some concern, if you're a George Kittle owner, he did not practice yesterday. So George Kittle, actually, you got to keep your eye on this one. I think he's in danger where he could end up missing the week. So hopefully he gets out there for you. I know I got him on a couple of my season-long teams, so definitely keep an eye on that, but is some concern with George Kittle. Another guy, we got Josh Jacobs. He was also limited. I know he's been out, so, Peyton Barber owners, whoever picked them up, he was limited in practice. He did practice, so I heard Gruden was saying he's trending toward playing. So it looks like we may get some Josh Jacobs back as well. And then Tyreek Hill, I know he had some rib issues. He fully practiced, so that probably shouldn't be too much of an issue. DK Metcalf as well. He had some foot issues. Looked like he was limited in practice yesterday, so at least he's out there. Tyler Lockett, though, did not practice. So we got a lot of injuries in that Seattle wide receiving core. So Lockett with that hip, we're going to have to keep an eye on him today. And then Tony Pollard did not practice yesterday as well. It was a non-injury type thing. I would assume he'd get back in there. So not really sure what was going on there. Dalvin Cook was limited on Thursday, so it's possible that we may get Dalvin Cook to return this week. Definitely another guy today that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on. And then burning through here, Aaron Jones was also limited, so it looks like he may play, but we'll talk about this next guy here, Chris. What about Justin Fields? His hand, he did practice on Thursday, so it looks like he's trending probably to play against the Lions on Sunday.
Yeah, and right now, as it stands now, I played, I've made no secret, I've never played NFL football, but I did play in middle school and in high school. And I remember, I would play awful or I'd get pancaked in practice. The next day, I would say, you know what, I have a stomach ache. I can't practice. I was nervous and I was scared. And I think that's what's going on with Justin Fields. He has little to no kind of, the integrity there of that coach is so wild, and he has no confidence right now. So I'm telling you, if he is able to play, I'm not saying that he's going to miss the game on purpose because he's scared or he's insecure here, but I could see a case that being true here, because Matt Nagy made him look like a fool last week. They didn't move him around. They weren't using him like we expected him to use. Even Nick Foles was on the sideline. You saw a video of him mouthing that they just don't know what they're doing on offense, or this offense isn't working. So in a weird way, I think Justin Fields has little to no confidence, and he might want to sit this one out for selfish reasons. I know that's shocking to say. Sawyer is probably going to cut this up in some sort of edit, and we're going to share it on social media, and we'll get a ton of hate here. But look, that entire Chicago Bears offense and Justin Fields has little to no confidence right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you watch around some of the different, NFL, channels, and watching different NFL shows, and you get these analysts on here, like the Dan Orlovsky's and, guys like that are breaking down plays, and they literally basically say these plays that are calling for the scheme that's in front of them, they're like literally just walking right into the hands of the defense a lot of times. So if, obviously these players, they're not stupid. They know what's going on. They're very smart, just even being around, like some of the guys at Woodward, that's something I want to pick Braylon. I want to ask Braylon, some questions about stuff that might be relevant toward DFS about, scripting plays and stuff like that. I've always been kind of interested in stuff like that. But, I got to believe these guys are really frustrated over there in Chicago. So I think the Lions are going to kick their butt. But another guy that's going to be affected in that game is Darryl Mooney. He's got a groin. He was limited in practice. So Mooney's a pretty good over-the-top threat. But, with a groin, I don't like receivers with groin injuries. But we'll see if he gets out there. Positive note, if you're a Deontay Johnson owner, he did practice on Thursday. So looks like he's ready to come back after that knee injury. And they're going to need him because it looks like Juju has got some rib issues, and he was limited. So we'll see. I kind of expect Juju to play as long as he's not a wimp. Look like kind of one of them things is, much as he can deal with the pain, he should be okay. But the next guy here that I got on my list here is OBJ. Odell Beckham, he fully practiced. I think Odell's in a really good spot. We'll probably talk more about him as the week goes because I do like some OBJ this week. And then to go along to just know that Julio, A.J. Brown did not practice for the Titans. So definitely got some injury concerns with some wide receivers this week, pretty big names. And then, as we mentioned earlier, Lamar Jackson has sat out his second practice as many days with a back injury. And then to add a little more about them Giants, Sterling Shepard did not practice on Thursday, so looking like he's trending probably not to play. But, man, Chris, a lot of injuries so far week 3. Is there any stand out to you that concern you for your teams?
Yeah, I'm going to rehash something. Where's the camera? Where's my camera? Can I get a single shot here? Justin Fields and the Matt Nagy-led offense Chicago Bears are down and out right now. They have no confidence. I'm just trying to repeat what Dan Orlovsky said because it was so fantastic. I do want to say, however, in Tennessee, if both those wide receivers good to go, I'm looking at what's his name, Nick Westbrook, like Iheen or Ibeam here. Yeah, Nick Westbrook, Ikine here on FanDuel. He's only $5,300, and I think he makes for a sneaky GPP play this weekend. So look for Nick Westbrook and Mike Williams. As I said, I firmly believe. What's his name? Lamar Jackson is going to be fine. At this point, it's wild. It's only going into week 4, and I think he's already getting kind of maintenance days because of the longer schedule and the way he plays. So I would think that soon enough at the heart of the schedule for them, weeks 4 to week 8, they're going to kind of hold back the reins on him, not let him run as much as he normally does, get out of bounds, don't take a big shot because we need you for the long haul, kid. So look to be a little bit timid with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But one other thing too we want to bring up today on Woodward Bets is Chris, I'm a baseball guy. I really like my baseball. Yes. It's been here this last part of the week. I've been on a pretty good hot streak in DFS. Just been just smashing recently. So it's like I'm kind of wishing it doesn't end, but then again, I'm kind of ready for it to end and get into these playoffs. But Friday night, we got 14 games tonight. Exciting night of some baseball. Highest over-under game is the Baltimore Orioles over there against the Toronto Blue Jays. Looks like that one's over under 10. Toronto is, definitely in the middle of some playoff implications. So, they're going to want to try to put it up there. But as I mentioned, they do have a humidor up there in Toronto. So, that's definitely interesting that it has such a high over under. But I think they're just going after Baltimore, who we like to attack. But, Chris, for me today, I'm going to start with some pitchers. I'm just going to throw 2 pitchers out there that I like, and I'm going to start with Alcantara. I really like him today. He's probably, I'm going to have to say he's my top arm today. He's been one of the best pitchers. He's got a big K upside. His strikeout percentage is up there in the tops of in the majors. But I really like him against this Philly team. I'm going to be looking at Alcantara. He's 9,300 on FanDuel, and then also my other guy, number 2. I'm going to go right over to Clayton Kershaw with the Dodgers. The only thing I'm a little concerned about is how long is Roberts going to let him go. Obviously, they need to keep winning too. I don't know if they're exactly locked up. I didn't put it all together from yesterday, but I'm just going to be concerned if Clayton's got a short lease. But who do you got for on the hill tonight?
Well, I love the kid Ranger Suarez, the Philadelphia Phillies. They're taking on in Miami, the Miami Marlins here. Rangers only $9,000 on FanDuel, and I love the idea of him being, just a strikeout guy, getting some ground balls, striking some cats out, and it being like a perfect mix of fantasy points here. And personally speaking, in my projections, I have Ranger Suarez around 43.5 total points here, not by far and away, because I have Lance Lynn right behind him, but I'm projecting Ranger Suarez to be the best pitcher tonight from a FanDuel or DraftKings point percentage here. As I said, Philadelphia goes to Miami. Philadelphia, by all intents and purposes, is reeling. They had a chance to catch up with the Atlanta Braves in the division, and they got completely swept and hammered by the Braves, so they're very much on the outside looking in. Not 100% sure if Philly's been eliminated yet, but I'm almost certain, given what I've seen other Philadelphia Phillies fans say on social media. For GPP purposes, this kid has always been a favorite of mine. That's Marco Gonzalez in Seattle. Seattle takes on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, I think is how you say it here. And look, Marco Gonzalez has always been an innings eater, right? He can get hit hard, in the second or third inning, and they don't care. Seattle leaves him in, and more times than not, Marco gets through whatever he's going through on the mound here. So to me, Marco Gonzalez, he's only $8,100 on FanDuel, and I think you could pencil him in for like a healthy 28 to 32 points at the end of the night here on FanDuel in DraftKings. So I love Marco Gonzalez, innings eater. I love those hard-nosed pitchers that they don't care. They get beat pretty bad and they just stay in there, or they have a good game and they keep it, even keeled here. So give me Ranger Suarez and Marco Gonzalez in GPPs.
Perfect. Sounds good. I'm hitting around. I have a lot of these optimizer sites that are, basically computer generated projections that tell you, what the computer spits out lineups, and Ranger Suarez is popping on a lot of these optimizers. So I don't mind that at all. I mean, like you said, with Philly, I think that game, they got two pitchers there that are looking pretty good, especially with Alcantara and Suarez. So first five might be a first five under in that game, maybe a decent play to look at. But let's move on to some stacks real quick. I'm looking at two teams. Like I said, generally when we play baseball DFS, we like to stack up two teams, 4 guys from one side, 4 from the other, maybe 3. And then kind of mix up and try to keep the bats somewhere close so you can keep that correlation going. But tonight, for me, I was on the Twins last night. I'm going to bounce right back to them. They cost me a bunch of money at the beginning of the season by them not performing as they should have. But I'm going to catch back up with them here, and they've done well for me. They did well for me yesterday. So especially Byron Buxton got me a couple homers. But Twins and Dodgers for me are my 2 favorite stacks at this point in the day. So Dodgers need to keep putting up some runs. I think they're gonna just keep smashing. So I like the combination of the 2, and then like I said, maybe with Alcantara or a Kershaw. But yeah, who do you got for your 2 favorite stacks tonight, Chris?
I love the Baltimore Orioles tonight. As you said moments ago, that one Baltimore-Toronto has the highest over-under here, and I think there's a chance against Steven Matz, who he's been fantastic. So, Chris, why are you going to stack, the Baltimore Orioles, Cedric Mullins, Ryan Mountcastle, Austin Hayes, Trey Mancini? If you want to get silly, put Pedro Cervino in there at catcher. But Steven Matz, he's got a 3.88 ERA, 13-7, and this kid, he loves to pitch down and away. And if you look at the heat map, and you can find that just about everywhere now, he throws that down and away pitch, I believe, 46 to 47% of the time. And guess what Cedric Mullins, Ryan Mountcastle, and Austin Hayes' sweet spot is? Down and away. They swing at that pitch, their first pitch they swing at almost 50% of the time. So I think it's a perfect storm this evening, against all odds. Not a lot of folks are going to be on Baltimore. I'm going to stack Baltimore in GPPs, mind you. And I also love the idea of getting in on Texas. 2 very low ownership teams. Texas is playing Eli Morgan. He's pitching there for Cleveland. He's 4-7. His ERA is almost at 5.5. So I love the idea of Adolis Garcia at batting 3rd, Nate Lowe 4th, and even like that Kinner Falafa guy at shortstop, who's only $3,700 on FanDuel. So as I've said, Scott, to tie this up in a bow, give me Baltimore and Tennessee when nobody's looking tonight.
Perfect. I do like it. Always we look for those low-owned teams. That's how you get up. They go off. That's how you get up top of tournaments. But before we get out of here, Chris, let's just mention one thing real quick. We got on Saturdays, we got our college football shows. We break down the top 25, talk about where some of the money is, some trends, and talk about who we like. So we'll have that for you tomorrow. And then Sunday, we always have our NFL show, get ready to break down for the day, talk about what's going on. So make sure you join us. Follow our Woodward Bets Twitter page. Make sure you get over there, follow the Woodward Sports page. But Chris, before we get out of here, do you got a best bet for the night? I think I got one here that I like.
I do. It's a little parlay. It's a two-thing parlay. Sandy Alcantara, the Miami Marlins pitcher. I love him over 8Ks. You can get that for plus 280. And then you parlay it with the Mets money line, which is plus 104. So you can parlay those two together and get your odds at plus 675. I did the math. If you throw $10 on that play, you can get back $67.52.
Nice. All right. So Colorado against Arizona. I like the Rockies here as my best bet, minus the 125 against Humberto Castellanos. I'm going to go with John Gray and the Rockies here on the road out there in Arizona. I do like the Rockies. Actually, I like them a little bit as a sneaky stack against Arizona in that shitty bullpen, but I do like them in the full game around minus 120, 125. So I'm going to ride with Colorado. But that is going to be it for today's show. We appreciate you checking us out. Make sure you check us out tomorrow with the college football. For Sawyer behind the window, Chris and Scott, we'll talk to you later.